Hi, I'm Marcie with Graduate Communications and Intercultural Programs, or GCIP, in the Pratt School of Engineering at Duke University. For the next few minutes, we're going to explore ways to structure strong sentences. Tip number 1, be sure all of your sentences have a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. If they don't, they're called fragments. Take a look at these fragments. The second part of this sentence, such as electrical, civil, and biomedical engineering, lacks a verb and complete thought. The second sentence is also missing a verb and a complete thought. Take a look at the next one, so that the program can accelerate the response time of network services. This one is missing a complete thought. While we are mentioning subjects and verbs, be sure to keep your subjects and verbs close to one another. Otherwise, your reader could get confused. In the sentence in the box, the subject, industrial spying, is separated from the verb, is increasing, by 13 words. If you move the clause, which starts with because, to the beginning or end of the sentence, you make the sentence clearer. Tip number 3, you need to avoid run-on or fused sentences so that your reader doesn't get lost. Run-on sentences string together two or more complete sentences without proper punctuation or connector words. Here are some examples of run-on sentences. In the first one, flight hardware projects take years to complete. Therefore, this project is ongoing. We need to add punctuation after flight hardware projects take years to complete. One way to do this is to add a semicolon between these two sentences because they are closely related. In the second example, VPN is similar to a proxy, though big websites such as Google and Facebook can be blocked, the government cannot block all proxies. You can add a period after the word proxy and then start a new sentence. In the next example, just looking at the sentence might tell you that it's too long. We can divide this into 3 separate sentences to help our reader. In addition to starting a new sentence or adding a semicolon, a third way to avoid writing a run-on sentence is to connect 2 independent clauses with a connector word, such as and, or, but, so, or yet, as in the third sentence. Some people are concerned about the environment, so they recycle as much as they can. Tip number 4. Modifiers are words or phrases used to add information to a part of a sentence. You don't want to have too many modifiers in one sentence, and you want to keep the modifier close to the word or words it's modifying. For example, in the first sentence, feedback demonstrated honesty and integrity to point out areas of improvement. The modifier to point out areas of improvement doesn't modify the word integrity. It modifies the word feedback. So the correction would be feedback to point out areas of improvement demonstrated honesty and integrity. In the second example, the modifying clause, the bread and butter of Bard, doesn't tell us about 5 years. Instead, it's referring to acute urology products, and therefore should be moved to that part of the sentence. After becoming acquired, the R&D group refocused on acute urology products, the bread and butter of Bard, for 5 years. You also want to avoid using what are called dangling modifiers. These are phrases, often at the beginning of a sentence, which do not make clear who or what is doing the action in the next part of the sentence. One way to check for dangling modifiers is to see if you have a phrase at the beginning of your sentence which starts with an ing verb. In the example, passing the building, the broken window was clearly visible. It seems as if the broken window is passing the building. To correct this sentence, you need to add information about who is passing the building. Passing the building, I noticed that the broken window was clearly visible. And finally, tip number 5. Be sure that when you have a list of phrases in a sentence, the phrases use the same or parallel grammatical structure. Notice how in this sentence, similar interviewing tactics were necessary, such as researching their organizations ahead of time, understanding their role in the organization by asking peers and managers, and their spans of control. The list begins with researching their organizations. The second item begins with understanding their role. These phrases begin with gerunds, verbs plus ing. But the third item in the list, their spans of control, lacks this type of verb. How could you fix this? How about making the last phrase say, and identifying their spans of control? If you are able to incorporate these tips into your writing process, I am confident that your writing will become stronger and clearer. Remember, current students can watch more online modules and schedule practice sessions via the GCIP website. Hope to see you soon.